Radio Network. Coming up, we'll deliver a full recap of today's game, including highlights from the biggest moments. Listen to Craig Stammen's post-game comments. Plus, we'll bring you today's play of the game. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
Back here at Petco Park, the final score in the series opener between the Padres and the Giants, the San Francisco Giants 3 and the San Diego Padres 2, as the Padres drop to 1-3 on this still very young 2026 season, and the Giants improve to 1-3, picking up their first win of the year. Welcome into our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show here on the Padres Radio Network. A lot to do on our postgame coverage. We have all the radio highlights for you. We'll recap, break down each and every aspect of this game here from Padres manager Craig Stammen, and much, much more. As always, our postgame coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey, player, with epic SoCal views, a full bar and poolside bites, Starlight Pool at Jamul Casino Resort is pool season perfected, and day passes are available. Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. Well, you look at this game, and yeah, the final score will be 3-2. It was a close game, but the bottom line is the Padres had no runs on only 2 singles by the time they made 26 outs in this game. They got the 2-run home run by Jackson Merrill down to their final out in the 9th inning, did make it a 1-run game. But the Padres offense, aside from that swing by Jackson, was essentially non-existent tonight, and this felt like a winnable game. Yes, Walker Buehler was not perfect in this game, goes 4 innings, gives up 3 runs. It was an up-and-down outing for Buehler, but the Padres bullpen did about all they could tonight. Peralta, Morgan, Marinaccio combining for 5 scoreless innings out of the pen to keep it a 3-0 game. And the Padres were shut out for 6 innings by Lands and Roop. They were shut out by Matt Gage and Keaton Wynn in the 7th and the 8th, and then finally did again get the home run by Merrill to make it a 1-run game and bring the tying run to the plate in the bottom half of the 9th inning. But you look at what the Padres did for the first 8 2/3 innings in this game, it just was not enough to win in what felt like a pretty winnable game. And I think you zoom out a little bit at the Padres offense. Here are their run output totals the first 4 games of this season. 2 runs on opening day, 2 runs on Friday, 3 runs on Saturday, and 2 runs here tonight. Bottom line, Padres early in this season, and let me preface this by saying it is very, very, very early. And I'm not going to sit here and make a huge deal out of 4 games or a 1-3 start. However, there is no doubt, and I think it is fair to say, that they're going to have to do more offensively to win games. 2 runs, 3 runs on a lot of nights, that's not going to get it done. And certainly the Padres have enough talent in this offense to produce more than that. And again, it was a 1-run game at the end of the day. Merrill did have the big swing late, but you look at where they were with 2 outs in the 9th inning. They had 2 singles in this game. So not an extra base hit before that Jackson Merrill home run, and only had a grand total of 3 at-bats with runners in scoring position before the 9th inning began. So Landon Root, we talked about it pregame, had a good year last year. He's a solid right-hander. I understand he's somebody that you may not know a ton about still as a San Francisco Giant. He's solid, but it's not like you had Logan Webb out there tonight. He'll pitch tomorrow for the Giants. It wasn't like it was one of the elite right-handers in the National League in baseball. And the Padres could not find a way to really get much going at all against Landon Roop, and then for the most part against the Giants bullpen. So early part of the year, 4 games in, Padres are 1-3. And the offense has certainly a little to do with that. Again, you give up 3 runs against the Giants. You're hoping your offense against a guy like Roop can get something going and provide a little spark and take a lead and provide you enough to win a ball game. So offensively, a lot to be desired here tonight. Left to be desired here tonight. Again, 1-3, not the way you wanted to start through 4 games. Is it push the panic button time yet? Absolutely not. You see how the rest of this series goes. And we got a long way to go here on March 30th, but offensively, certainly, I think, a frustrating night. And I do think you zoom out a little bit. It's been a slower start offensively than you would have hoped. When we come back, all the radio highlights, we'll recap this game from start to finish. We'll hear from Craig Stammen. Much more to do. Again, the final score in this series opener, Giants 3 and the Padres 2 on the Padres Radio Network. Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we continue to wrap this one up. Final score here tonight, Giants 3 and the Padres 2. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen coming up in just a little bit as we break down each and every aspect of this ball game as we do each and every night pretty much during the baseball season here on the Padres Radio Network on our post-game coverage. We're with you throughout the year, all 162 games. Padres will continue this series tomorrow, game 2 of this series. It'll be right-hander Logan Webb on the mound for the Giants. Right-hander German Marquez making his Padres debut on the mound. So tough test tomorrow with Logan Webb, who did not have a good first start of the year, but certainly is somebody that has given the Padres trouble over the years. He's one of the better right-handers in the National League. So tough matchup tomorrow for the Padres, who now sit at 1-3. But before we continue to discuss anything in the future further, let's take a look back at how things went down here tonight.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
Our starting pitching matchup here tonight, Walker Buehler making his Padres debut. Right-hander Landon Root on the mound for the Giants. Both right-handers pitched 2 scoreless innings to begin the night. In the top of the third, the Giants' Harrison Bader led off.
1-2 pitch. Hit in the air, deep to left field. Laureano is back, and the first home run of the season for the Giants belongs to Harrison Bader. It gives them their first lead of 2026. A solo shot to begin the third inning. It's 1-0.
Padres still trailed 1-0 going top 4. There were 2 on base with 1 out against Buehler for Patrick Bailey.
catcher. 1-0 pitch is flared into shallow left field. Laureano's charging. Chapman's on his way home, and Ramon will not have a play. Just kind of walks it back towards the infield as Chapman comes in to score. RBI single, Patrick Bailey, his first hit of the year, and the Giants lead it 2-0.
Giants weren't done. Casey Schmidt then followed with an RBI single. Giants had an early 3-0 lead. Buehler would go 4 innings in this game. He allowed 3 runs, 5 hits, walked 2, struck out 3, 72 pitches in his Padres debut. Wandy Peralta pitched a scoreless 5th inning. David Morgan did the same in the 6th inning. The problem, the Padres just weren't doing anything against Landon Root. He went 6 shutout innings and allowed just a couple of singles. That was it for the Giants right-hander in his season debut. Padres bullpen continued to keep the deficit at 3-0. Morgan pitched a scoreless top of the 7th inning. Matt Gage pitched a scoreless bottom half for San Francisco. Ron Marinaccio spun a 1-2-3 top of the 8th inning. Bottom of the 8th inning, Keaton Wynn pitched a scoreless frame for the Giants. Top of the 9th inning, Padres still trailing 3-0. Ron Marinaccio a scoreless inning. So that brought us to the bottom of the 9th inning. Padres still down 3-0. Right-hander Ryan Walker came on for San Francisco. He was all over the place to start this outing. Jake Cronenworth drew a 4-pitch walk. Fernando Tatis Jr. then struck out. Manny Machado grounded out for out number 2. The game was left up to Jackson Merrill, who was down to his final strike.
Pitch 7 about to be delivered. Walker deals. And that's hit in the air deep to right field. Lee is back at the wall. This one, good to go! 2-run homer, Jackson Merrill. Don't go anywhere just yet. A 1-run game in the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 down. Jackson's first of the year.
So Jackson Merrill, a 2-run home run to right, made it a 1-run affair. Xander Bogaerts was next.
2 balls and a strike. Here's the pitch. Bogaerts hard hit over to Adames at short. Has it on the backhand. Fires to first in time. And the ball game is over. Padres made it interesting in the bottom of the 9th. A 2-run homer by Jackson Merrill to turn it into a 1-run game, while Walker hangs on to close the door. And Tony Vitello of the Giants has his first career win as a big league manager. 3-2 San Francisco in game 1 of the series.
Jesse summing it up well. Padres making it a 1-run affair, but not enough here tonight as the Giants win it 3-2. And as Jesse alluded to in the process, Giants first-year manager Tony Vitello picks up his first major league win as a manager. Final totals here tonight for the Giants: 3 runs, 6 hits, no errors. For the Padres, 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors. Winning pitcher tonight, Landon Root, who improves to 1-0. Losing pitcher, Walker Buehler, who's 0-1. And the save goes to Ryan Walker, his first save of 2026. Giants improved to 1-3 as they get their first win of the season, and the Padres drop to 1-3 as we had a visitor here at the Western Metal Building inside the loft. All right, when we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. Tough one here tonight as the Padres drop this series opener. We're back in a moment on the Padres Radio Network. outside the Loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. Final score here tonight, Giants 3 and the Padres 2. We'll hear from Craig Stammen in just a moment, so stay tuned for that as the Giants improve to 1-3, Padres drop to 1-3. Looking at the box score here tonight, one thing that was, I think, a little frustrating from a Padres standpoint, obviously the lack of offensive output, I think, is right there with 3 hits tonight total. 2 before the home run by Merrill in the 9th inning to make it a 1-run game. But you look at what the Giants did, and remember, this is a Giants team that scored 1 run total in their first 3 games against the Yankees. Their offense basically non-existent in their first series at home of the season. But look at the top of the lineup tonight. Adames was 1 for 4, had a single. That was it. Rafael Devers was 0 for 2 with a couple of walks. Elliot Ramos was 0 for 4. Luis Arraez was 0 for 4. Matt Chapman was 1 for 4 with a single. Jung-Hoo Lee was 0 for 3 with a walk. So the top 6 in the Giants lineup today only had 2 hits. I mean, the top talent in their lineup had just a couple of singles in this game. It was the bottom third of the Giants lineup that did the damage. It was Bader who hit the home run in the third to make it 1-0. And then you had the number 8 and 9 batters, Patrick Bailey and Casey Schmidt, neither of whom had a hit coming into tonight. Well, Bailey had an RBI single. Schmidt had 2 hits, including an RBI single. So it was the bottom third of the Giants lineup that really did the damage. And again, I said it in the opening segment. I alluded to it. I think you zoom out on tonight's game, I mean, you kind of put this one, I think, kind of squarely on the Padres offense. Yes, Walker Buehler, was it a great outing? No, it was up and down, 4 innings, 3 runs given up. He threw a lot of pitches. I understand that. But on a night where you only give up 3 runs, you're not facing one of the top tier pitchers in the National League, although a guy who had a good season last year in Landon Root, and you've got 2 singles heading into the 9th inning. That was it for the Padres offensively. It's going to be a tough game to win when you have that kind of offensive output. Let's go downstairs, hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Evaluate Walker's outing for us.
Yeah, started off pretty good. Looked pretty sharp. Just gave up that home run to Bader on the hanging curveball. And then the 4th inning, got 2 outs, and then, a couple C&I singles, kind of did him in there. But, overall solid, not spectacular.
In terms of the Padres' offensive struggles against Roop, what would you kind of attribute that to?
Yeah, I attribute him to making a lot of good pitches. Looked like he had a good, sinker going, 95, mile-an-hour sinker with a good sweeper, and then he had his changeup and his cutter that he used a little bit more than we were expecting. So he did a pretty good job out there against us.
That was kind of be my question. Did he look like? I mean, he's had good games against you before, but did he look like a different pitcher?
I don't know about a different pitcher. I mean, I guess looking back, I don't really, recall all those games against us. But he's got good stuff. He's got stuff that matches up well against some of our hitters. So, we knew it was going to be a tough day. He made his pitches today. We were hoping, we'd get a few more mistakes, and he just kind of limited the mistakes, limited the damage.
I know you guys were pleased with the approach throughout the Tiger series. What did you think tonight at the plate?
Yeah, I think today, we had a game plan going in, and he kind of, changed up the game plan on us. He did, a few things a little bit different than what we were expecting. I think we were expecting a few more sinkers, and he threw a lot less of them from my perspective than what, we were kind of expecting.
Obviously, relatively small sample, but what do you make of kind of the offense as a whole through these first 4 games and kind of maybe the lack of it?
Yeah, I feel like we're hitting the ball on the screws at times, and we're not getting rewarded for it. And, that maximizes when we have a few empty at-bats also. We just need some of those hard hit balls to kind of fall in. And, today was definitely a struggle. We didn't hit too many hard as we had in the previous 3 games. But that guy, he threw the ball good tonight. Pitching's, in the big leagues is tough. And, we got to be able to battle every single day and scratch a few runs across. And, today just wasn't our day until that last inning.
For Jackson to get into one, how much does that kind of underscore what you're looking for?
Yeah, that's great. He'd kind of been scuffling a little bit, facing some lefties out of the bullpen and, not really, he's one of the few guys that hadn't really hit the ball hard and hadn't really done a whole lot outside that bloop double he had in the Tigers series. But, it was good to see him, commit to a plan against a certain pitcher and then execute it and put one in the seats.
When you can get what you got from your bullpen tonight, not necessarily using your high leverage guys, what does that do for you in terms of the rest of the series?
Yeah, like I said, we've got a really good bullpen, top to bottom. Doesn't matter who we throw in there. They seem to be putting up zeros right now. I think we've only given up 2 runs total on the season out of the pen, and those guys are all throwing the ball really well. So, it's nice for me to be able to rely on about anybody down there. And like you said, going forward these next 2 games before the off day, we can, be a little more aggressive with some of our high leverage guys and be able to get them in the games.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen following this 3-2 loss to the Giants on this Monday night. Sam Levitt back with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park on our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. Let's touch on a couple of things that Craig talked about there. One good, one not so good. Let's start with the good, because I do think it was a good question and a good point there. The Padres bullpen to this point has been as advertised, really, aside from Jeremiah Estrada struggling on Friday night in what was a really tough first appearance of the year, as we know. The bullpen, really top to bottom, has been very, very good. Look at what they did tonight. Again, Buehler gives up 3 runs. You're down 3-0. But Peralta, scoreless 5th inning. Morgan, 2 scoreless innings. Marinaccio, 2 scoreless innings. That's 5 scoreless innings of one-hit ball from the Padres bullpen tonight to keep the deficit at 3. And the hope is when you're down 3-0, even in the 5th inning, you got time to chip away and to come back and win a ball game. And the Padres obviously didn't get anything going until the Merrill home run offensively. But tonight, the bullpen once again was really good. You look at what they did on Saturday. Kyle Hart, 2 scoreless innings. Mason Miller, a scoreless inning in a close game, 3-run game. They were great, 3 scoreless innings. Again, we know the deal on, I said Saturday night for Estrada. I meant Friday night. Obviously, late lead. Estrada has a really rough outing, charged with 4 runs in 2/3 of an inning on Friday night. But everybody else in that game was solid. And even on opening day in that 8-2 loss to the Tigers, Marinaccio gives up a 2-run home run to Dingler. But after that, you had Bradley Rodriguez, David Morgan, and Wandy Peralta combining for 4 scoreless innings. So really, aside from 1 swing, a home run, and the Estrada appearance, bullpen has been very good. I understand that may not make you feel a whole lot better about a 1-3 start. I get that. But it has been good, and that has been certainly something you thought would be a strength, and I think pretty clearly to this point has, for the most part, been a strength. That is some of the good from tonight, certainly. Offensively, 2 singles heading into the 9th inning. You need more. I mean, bottom line, there's no way around it. There's no other way to say it. You need more. It's going to be very, very hard to win games when you have that kind of offensive output. And I think it's very fair to say 4 games in, and again, 4 games does not make a season. Very luckily, we have 158 to go, but you're looking at 2 runs tonight, 3 runs on Saturday, 2 runs on Friday, 2 runs on Thursday. You're scoring 2 and 3 runs a game. That's it. It's got to be more than that. The offense has to produce more than that if the Padres are to have the type of year that we all certainly hope they're going to have. So, again, 4 games in, it's been a bit of a slow start for the Padres offense, certainly. We shall see. They got it within a run. Jackson Merrill hitting the home run, hopefully a sign of things to come for him. That was a really nice moment for Jackson, but they've got to get Fernando going a little bit more. Got to get Manny going a little bit more. Got to get, Bogarts has had some hits. The Sheets, France/Castellanos spots could get going a little bit more. Laureano had a quiet night tonight, but as we know, he's been good. They haven't got a ton offensively from the catching position. You go up and down right now when you're not scoring a lot of runs, and there's probably a little bit of blame to go around. But yeah, the offense has to do a little bit more, and the task will not be easy tomorrow against right-hander Logan Webb. We'll step aside. When we come back, we'll get into our daily awards. If you want to get a phone call in, phone number to call is always 833-288-0973. Final score here tonight, Giants 3 and the Padres 2. Our postgame coverage continues from Petco Park after this. Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. More than 43,000 in the building here tonight. Another sold-out crowd, fourth sellout of 2026. So the fans continue to bring it. 4 sellouts in 4 games. Knew you would. Obviously, Padres did not put on much of an offensive showcase until the 9th inning in this game, so not a ton to cheer about from that standpoint. Hopefully a little bit more tomorrow against the tough right-hander and Logan Webb on the mound for the Giants. We'll talk more about tomorrow's game coming up a little bit later. If you want to get a phone call in, 833-288-0973. Phone number to call, again, 833-288-0973. The phone number if you want to get a little post-game reaction in. If you'd rather get involved on social media, you can do that by tweeting at me or whatever it is now, whatever, at Sammy Lev, SAMMYLEV on X, and Instagram DM's open as always, SAMMYLEV there as well. If you have something worthwhile of saying and myself reading, may just read it here on the air and react to it. Let's tell you about the heart of the order here tonight for the Pods.
Take the pulse of the Padres and check in on the Heart of the Order, presented by Palomar Health, the official healthcare provider of 97.3 The Fan. Palomar Health, leading with heart for every patient. Palomar Health is reimagining healthcare.
Pitch 7 about to be delivered. Walker deals. And that's hit in the air deep to right field. Lee is back at the wall. This one, gonna go! 2-run homer, Jackson Merrill. Don't go anywhere just yet. A 1-run game in the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 down. Jackson's first of the year.
Well, Jackson Merrill certainly had the bright spot, the big swing for the heart of the order here tonight. One of 2 hits out of the 3, 4, 5 spots in the Padres lineup. Manny Machado went 0 for 4, unfortunately, with a strikeout. Jackson Merrill, his lone hit of the night, the 2-run home run to make it a 1-run game. Xander Bogaerts went 1 for 4 with a single, so combined a 2 for 12 night out of the Padres' heart of the order. Machado, Merrill, and Bogaerts, and it was Jackson who hit the 2-run home run. That's a look at the Padres' heart of the order, the bright spot from Jackson Merrill. How about tonight's relief pitcher of the game?
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, brought to you by San Diego criminal defense attorney David P. Shapiro. We help good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. Learn more at davidpshapirolaw.com.
Well, the good news is that you can go a variety of different ways with tonight's relief pitcher of the game. You've got, I think, 2 very strong candidates in David Morgan and Ron Marinaccio, both very, very good. Morgan's had a great start to the season so far, 2 scoreless innings for David Morgan in the 6th and 7th, and it was Marinaccio, 2 scoreless innings in the 8th and 9th, and both those guys keeping it a 3-run deficit, kept the Padres right in the game. I suppose tonight I'll give it to Marinaccio just by looking at the pitching line. Jed Morgan, and again, I'm not criticizing here. He was great tonight, but he gave up a hit, a walk, and Marinaccio, no hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts. So if you want to talk about dominance, again, I guess Ron was a little bit more of that here tonight. So we'll give it to Marinaccio, relief pitcher of the game. But make no mistake, Padres bullpen tonight in totality was great. Peralta, Morgan, Marinaccio, 5 scoreless innings, giving up just 1 hit out of the bullpen. And again, gave the Padres certainly a chance to come back in this game, keeping it a 3-0 deficit. On a lot of nights, you're hoping this Padres offense with the talent in this lineup can get it going and mount a rally. And a 3-run deficit wouldn't be too much to overcome, but unfortunately did not get anything going until the Merrill home run with 2 outs in the 9th. I will tell you, David Morgan, very good start to the season. He's already had 3 appearances in 4 games, 4 scoreless innings. He's allowed 3 hits, walked 3, struck out 3, but the 3 scoreless appearances certainly the biggest part of that. All right, when we come back, we'll take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll have our play of the game. Again, phone number to call if you want to get involved here on the post-game coverage, 833-288-0973. Again, the phone number, 833-288-0973. Final score here tonight, Giants 3 and the Padres 2. Our post-game coverage continues after these words. Jamul Casino Resort, Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we continue to wrap this one up. Final score here tonight, Giants 3 and the Padres 2. Phone number to call if you want to get involved, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Phone number to call. We will take at least a couple of phone calls here in a moment. Before we do that, I do just want to touch on Walker Buehler's outing. Look, it was up and down tonight, no doubt about it. 4 innings, 3 runs given up, 5 hits allowed, including a home run, 2 walks, struck out 3, threw a lot of pitches in 4 innings, 72 of them. Look, I don't think you should overreact to Buehler's outing tonight. He's going to get more opportunities, obviously. I thought there was a little bit of good and not so good tonight for Buehler. First 2 innings, really solid. Gives up a leadoff single to Adames to begin the game. Double play ball right after that. Gets out of that inning quickly. 1-2-3 second. Gave up the home run to Bader in the third. And then, again, there was some wildness. Hit a batter tonight, another walk in the third. Got out of it, after the home run with nothing more across. You look at that 4th inning as well, gets the first out. There was that ball hit by Chapman that I think Jake Cronenworth it was hit sharply. It was at 107 off the bat, so it was hit really hard. I'll tell you, I think Jake Cronenworth would probably tell you he's got to at least knock that down and keep it in front, and he couldn't. Again, I'm not saying it was an easy play by any means, but I think Jake would tell you he's probably expecting himself to make that play, or at the very least knock it down, keep it in front, give him a chance to make the play. But again, after that, some of it's on Buehler. He walks Lee to put 2 on, gets the second out, and then gives up back-to-back RBI singles. Not terribly hard hit, but back-to-back RBI singles to Bailey and Schmidt, both of whom had not had a hit yet this season. So again, was Buehler great tonight? No. Were some of the issues self-inflicted tonight with the walks and letting the bottom of the order get to him? Yes. But I'm still, I think, intrigued by Walker Buehler and the idea that he could be pretty solid for this team towards the back end of the rotation. I know tonight up and down, but let's see what the next one is. Let's see what improvements he can make moving forward. Phone number to call, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's kick things off tonight on the phones. Let's go to Davis in San Diego. Davis, you're on the Padres Radio Network. Welcome in.
What's up, Sammy? I have a quick question. In the last 1 or 2 calendar years, do you think Luis Campusano has had a single impactful hit? Not trying to be mean to Campusano, but it doesn't seem like he's gotten an actual hit that had some meaning to it in a long time. Last year, I'm pretty sure he's 0 for 21, and he's just looking super lost at the plate. He's not look good.
Now, Davis, appreciate the phone call. Look, what I'm about to say, I truly, truly do not mean to pile on Campy here. But to your point, the fact of the matter is, and I'm gonna expand on it in a second, but I am gonna give you the numbers. It is 0 for 21 last year. It's 0 for 5 now to begin 2026. So yes, you are looking at a span now going back to the start of last year, where yes, he has not had a hit in 26 at bats over the course of the last couple of seasons now. This one, albeit being very, very early. Now, when I look at 2025 for Campy, do you want to go over 21? No. Were his numbers at AAA tremendous? Yes. I will give Campusano the benefit of the doubt regarding his 2025, that the at-bats were few and far between. I think he was put in a pretty difficult position where he was on the roster for long stretches, did not get many at-bats at all, and was being asked to do something that was very difficult to do, and that was play really, really rarely and be expected to deliver. And I think it's a tough spot. I do. Again, he had some opportunities. He didn't have a hit. There wasn't a whole lot of impactful moments, to your point. But I think last year that was a tough spot to put him in. look, I believe this year, and we've talked about it here on this radio station in my segments over the course of spring training, going back for 6-7 weeks now. It was very clear at the start of spring training that Luis was going to be given a real runway to find success at this level. That is not just 5 at-bats, okay? He's going to continue to get at-bats. He's going to continue to get an opportunity. And I do think the Padres are hoping that he can find that offensive rhythm that we saw down at AAA last season. And I think he's going to continue to play and continue to get at-bats. And he's going to be given an opportunity and a runway to have, hopefully, success. I don't think that's defined by 5 at-bats. Yes, would it have been great for Luis Campusano over the first 4 games to have a hit, to have some impact offensively? Sure. He did have impact the other night, what he did ABS-wise. That is part of kind of the catcher's role now. But yes, as time goes on, if he doesn't hit, the microscope, will I guess intensify would be the right word on Campusano. And but for now, I'm not closing the book on what I think about his season 5 at-bats in. Look, for Campy, he's very important to the Padres because I think it's pretty clear, even based on the first 4 games, that he's going to play quite a bit. And he's going to be given a runway here to see with more consistent playing time if he can find that offense that the Padres and Luis have been searching for. So I think a lot of us know the numbers. I think a lot of us understand, what it's been, but I do think he's going to get runway. And I think for the benefit of the Padres and Luis Campusano, the best case scenario here is he finds it and has a real impact offensively. And we're going to find out over the course of time, how that all goes. Let's squeeze in one more phone call here. Liam in San Diego. Liam, you're on the Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. Go ahead.
Hey, Sammy, just a quick question. I wanted to get your thoughts on the lineups construction tonight, specifically Jake Cronenworth in the leadoff spot. I know it's early on in the season, but just wanted to get your thoughts on that and see if there was anything I missed with the insight into that, and Craig Stammen, I guess, with how he's approaching it. Thanks, Sammy.
Yeah, you got it, Liam. Appreciate the phone call. Look, it became 2 things in spring became, I think, pretty clear. A few things. Number one, that Craig was going to be, I think, a lot more malleable with the lineup than Mike Schultz was. Mike Schultz was very rigid with his lineup. I mean, you'll remember it. And this is not even a criticism of Mike, okay? Meanwhile, the team won 93 games, 90 games under him, okay? And I know last year the lineup was a big topic of conversation where Fernando hit, where Luis Arraez hit. But it was very clear with Mike that Fernando was going to hit leadoff, Luis was going to hit second, and that's the way it was going to be, no matter what. And I don't think Craig quite has that approach. And again, we're 4 games into Craig's managerial tenure, so I don't want to say anything that's too much of a proclamation. But I do think, and we've seen it already, he's going to be a little bit more malleable based on matchups, based on righty-lefty, based on what guys are doing, how things look, I'm sure wins and losses and how things are going. Against lefties, it's been Fernando in the top spot. Against righties, it's been Cronenworth. Look, we've had 2 games, Liam, with Cronenworth leading off. I thought Jake did a really nice job on Saturday. A base hit, a walk, scored a couple of runs, was active on the bases. And I do think Jake gives you a good at bat. I do think when you look at the options beyond Fernando for that leadoff spot, if you don't want to bat him there, I think Jake's a good candidate. I think he gives you a good at bat. And tonight was 0-for-3 with a walk and a run scored. Okay. I can't judge the whole picture with Cronenworth of the leadoff spot off 2 games. One was really good tonight. He scored a run, had a walk. I'm sure he would have liked to hit or 2 as well. I will say this, and this has been my stance on it with Fernando in regards to the leadoff spot. I have been a proponent back going to the early part of spring training when Fernando was hitting lower in the order, and the idea of Fernando not hitting leadoff really first started to bubble to the surface. I personally, I I like Fernando batting a little bit lower. The idea of, and I understand what Fernando brings to the leadoff spot and the benefit to it. I get it. And the idea that, if you bat him lower, even second, and certainly if you bat him lower than that, then yes, you are potentially cutting off an at-bat that you might see in a game from Fernando Tatis Jr. He could get one fewer at-bat, especially if he bats third, fourth. I think we get that. But I do like the idea based on what Fernando's year was last year and what you need from him from a run-producing standpoint, the idea that you want to get him in situations where you got guys on base in front of him. Now, last year, for a lot of the year, that was a problem because your bottom third of the order was not doing a whole lot. Your lineup is better now than it was at the start of last year, especially in the bottom third. So maybe you wouldn't have the same type of problem with guys on base for Fernando, but I don't mind the idea of him batting lower and trying something a little bit different with him to put him in a better run-producing spot and maybe even a better run-producing mentality. So, Liam, to answer your question, it's 2-game sample size of Jake leading off. I like it. I think it's worth a try. 2 games and 4 games total do not decide what a strategy, what strategy is working and what is not. I like it. I think it's fine. But I do think, again, if it's not working, I don't think they will stick with it. I think Craig's going to be malleable. I think they will shake things up. I think this will be very different than, for example, where Mike showed. Fernando was batting leadoff, and that was it. Even through some of his struggles last season, he was batting leadoff, and Luis was batting second, and that was it. I don't get that impression from Craig. And that's not to say that this team, starting tomorrow, starts hitting the cover off the ball and the offense is firing for 2 weeks. I am sure it will be probably a very similar lineup day after day if something's working. But I do think he'll have flexibility to it. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's going on tonight around the major leagues.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We take a look at the full out-of-town scoreboard tonight. We have a lot of finals already. We've got one game going on right now. I'll tell you about the game going on right now. Diamondbacks lead the Tigers 9-6 in the 8th inning. Arizona getting swept in their first series of the year, but on the verge if they can hold on to their first win, on the verge of their first win of the season. Finals today, Royals beat... Sorry, had a fly in front of my face. Freaked me out for a second. Sorry, everybody. All right. Royals beat the Twins 3-1 in Kansas City. Rangers beat the Orioles 5-2 in Baltimore today. White Sox beat the Marlins, who take their first loss of the season 9-4 in Miami. Reds blanked the Pirates 2-0 in Cincinnati earlier. Nationals beat up on the Phillies 13-2. Nationals had 13 runs on 17 hits. Phillies off to a rough start. They're 1-3 to begin the year. Rockies got their first win of the season against the Blue Jays, 14-5 in Toronto. Blue Jays took their first loss of the year. They're now 3-1. Braves improved to 3-1 with a 4-0 win against the A's today. Cubs beat the Angels 7-2 in Chicago. Ian Happ a home run in that game for the Cubbies. Rays beat the Brewers 3-2 in Milwaukee. Yandy Diaz, Johnny DeLuca had home runs in that game for Tampa Bay. Mets beat the Cardinals 4-2 in St. Louis. Bo Bichette had a couple of runs knocked in that game for the Mets. Astros beat the Red Sox 8-1 in Houston. Nice start for Lance McCullers Jr., who went 7 innings, 1 earned run given up for the win. Mariners handed the Yankees their first loss 2-1 in Seattle. That came on a Cal Raleigh walk-off hit for the M's as they beat the Yanks. And finally, Guardians beat the Dodgers. A little bit of good news today in LA, 4-2. Dodgers take their first loss of 2026. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Monday. Before we hear our play of the game, let's quickly pause for station identification on the Padres Radio Network.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hi, this is Jackson Merrill. The Padres play here on 97.3 The Fan.
An Odyssey Sports Station.
Final score here tonight, Giants 3, Padres 2. Sam Levitt with you on our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show. Let's hear tonight's play of the game.
One bounce, one hit, One pitch can be the difference between victory and defeat. What was the most important play in today's game? This is today's Play of the Game. Presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Restoration and Flood. We know how.
2-1 to Schmidt, and a hard hit grounder up the middle. Bogarts can't get there. It's into center field. Lee is racing home. He will score. The throw goes to third, not in time. Back-to-back RBI singles by Bailey, now Schmidt. It's 3-0.
Our play of the game, the Casey Schmidt RBI single in the fourth inning. As I always say, gives me no great pleasure for that to be our play of the game, but it did end up being the deciding run of the game. Schmidt, the RBI single in the fourth inning, made it a 3-0 game, and that ended up being the run that made the difference. Merrill hitting the home run to make it a 3-2 game in the ninth inning, but that RBI base hit by Schmidt, that was the one that made this a win for the Giants ultimately here tonight. So for that reason, that was tonight's play of the game. I said this a little bit earlier, but Patrick Bailey and Casey Schmidt both had good nights for the Giants, back-to-back RBI singles in that 2-run fourth inning, both of whom came into tonight without a hit through the first three games. So again, we'll talk about it more pregame tomorrow, but that was a problem here tonight. It was not the big bats for the Giants tonight that did the damage. It was not Adames. It was not Devers. It was not Ramos. It was not Arise. It was not, well, Chapman had a hit, but that was it. Lee had a walk, but that was it. But it was Bader who had the home run, Bailey and Schmidt with the RBI hit, 7, 8, 9. So that will be a point of emphasis, I'm sure, for right-hander German Marquez on the mound tomorrow for the Padres, about to make his debut in the brown and gold. But before we preview tomorrow's game, a reminder, our post-game coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey, player, the rooftop pool is open, day passes are available, and the spa is calling your name. Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. Man, that sounds good. That spa, day pass at the pool. Oh, that's what I should have done that yesterday on my Sunday day off. Ooh, that sounds good. I will tell you, I did that one day in Arizona, had an afternoon off, and I went to a really nice hotel in Phoenix and Scottsdale, and I sat by the pool. I got a day pass, and I sat by the pool, and it was lovely. And I went down the water slide at the pool as well. So that sounds great at Jamul Casino Resort. Anywho, taking a look ahead to tomorrow's ball game, middle game of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Giants. Pitching matchup tomorrow, right-hander Logan Webb on the mound for San Francisco. And again, right-hander German Marquez will make his Padres debut on the hill. Taking a look at the final totals here tonight for the Giants. 3 runs, 6 hits, no errors. They left on 6. For the Padres, 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors. They left on 3. Winning pitcher tonight, Landon Roop, who improves to 1-0. Losing pitcher was Walker Buehler, who drops to 0-1. The save goes to Ryan Walker, his first of 2026. Time of game tonight, quick one, 2 hours and 19 minutes. In the crowd here at Petco Park on this Monday, 4th sellout of 2026. 4 games, 4 sellouts so far. The attendance 43,611. First pitch tomorrow, 6:40 p.m. here at Petco Park. Our pregame coverage will begin at 5:40. Certainly hope you can join us then. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Kyle Ovenshire, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night from Petco Park. Again, the final score here tonight, the San Francisco Giants 3 and the San Diego Padres 2. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great night, everybody.